Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brittany and this is BellBelleBella, where I share pretty much anything I feel like it. If you scroll back to my original channel videos, I posted things about what's in my bag, what's on my iPhone 5, and a lot of beauty and makeup. I started this channel in 2012 when I started my blog, BellBelleBella, in 2012 when I had just chopped all of my hair off. Like I had a really small TWA for the longest time and I felt really self-conscious about it. So I wanted to get into makeup because I had never learned, how to do makeup. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos and I thought, hey, maybe somebody's in my same position. Maybe somebody is a young professional just learning how to do makeup. So that's why I made the channel, made the blog. And yeah, so fast forward to 2017, 2018, 6 years later, I've definitely evolved and changed as a person. So today I want to share with you me and my husband's infertility journey. And this might not be, a video you're expecting on this channel, but I think it's important to have these conversations because so often women and men go through this and they never speak about it until they have a baby in hand. And I think while you're going through the process, it's so emotionally draining that you need to feel like you're not alone. So I want to change the conversation, say the F word, which is start talking about fertility, whether it's just learning about birth control, whether it's learning about infertility, just learning how your body works so you can make informed decisions. Because going through this whole thing, I realized the general American public knows very little about fertility and everything that surrounds that whole bubble. My husband and I got married in 2015. And prior to that, just a little bit about my fertility journey up until then, I had been on birth control since I was like 17, and that was mainly to my acne. My acne was always very bad in high school. Right now my face is looking so good, but whatever. We've come a long way since then. Got on birth control, and I stayed on birth control for the next 10 years through college until we were ready in 2016 that, hey, we might like to have kids sometime soon. Who knows how long it'll take. So in October 2016, right after we came back from Paris, the month before, Paris and Dublin, I went off the birth control pill. I'm thinking, let's see how my periods are. I'm really excited to get to know my body. Had one normal 24-day period after I got off birth control, and then I didn't have a period for 54 days after that. And I really wasn't knowledgeable about anything that goes on with, later on it comes to find out it's PCOS, or anything about any type of ovulation disorder that somebody might have. I didn't even know that was a thing at the time. So I didn't know 53 days was excessive. So I got this period. I think I went from the beginning of November all the way till January with the period. So I got that period and I was like, okay, well, let me see what happens this next period. So then my next period was 52 days long. So I didn't get another period until March. So that's when I had contacted my primary care doctor because, you're thinking, oh yeah, let's just try to have a baby. You can't start having a baby without knowing when you're ovulating. That's number one. That's the cut and dry of it. And I was not ovulating on any type of predictable schedule. At this time, I didn't know about ovulation prediction kits or anything like that. So I was like, something's wrong. My mother is also a nurse. So she was like, Brittany, I hope you don't have PCOS. And I was like, what's PCOS? I was like, no way. Messaged my primary care doctor and I said, hey, I've been having cycles that are longer than 50 days since I stopped birth control. And she kind of brushed it off and was like, oh, well, it can take up to a year for your body to regulate itself from the hormones after coming off birth control. And I, in my head, was like, that's not right. That's not an acceptable answer to me. Because looking back, and I'm not sure if y'all are aware, but not having a cycle is actually pretty detrimental to your health as a woman, your vaginal health, your cervical health, your endometrial health as well. So I wasn't satisfied with that answer. And my whole overarching theme with this is be your own advocate because I've had to do that several times throughout this journey. And I contacted my OB since I do have both. Since I got married, I've been seeing both, but before my primary care took care of everything. So I contacted my OB. She's like, yep, let's get you in. And she ran some blood levels and she did diagnose me with PCOS based on my symptoms alone, the acne and my AMH, which is anti-Müllerian hormone in your blood. Basically, from what I understand, that's the number of follicles in your ovaries that eventually become eggs or eventually release eggs, secrete this Müllerian hormone, and it basically counts, AMH is basically a count of your egg reserve, if you will. So a normal is like 1 to 2. Mine was 11. So a super elevated AMH means I have a ton of undeveloped follicles in my ovaries, which is the hallmark of PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. You basically need three out of the list of factors to be considered polycystic ovarian syndrome. I have ultrasound of my ovaries reveal I have a ton of undeveloped follicles, polycystic ovaries. My AMH was very high, and I had the periods that were not regular, and I did have the acne. Said, no problem, we'll start you on this medication called letrozole, which is Femara, some of you may know that as, which is a breast cancer drug that also has an added benefit of ovulation in women who are not ovulating. So I had just come back after 2 50+ day periods. So she put me on this drug. You take it for the first 5 days after your period, or after cycle day 1. So we went to do that. And she was like, yeah, just come in, we'll monitor you midway through, and we'll see how you do. So that was April of last year. We did that. That was unsuccessful. So at that point, my sister has also had her own infertility journey. She now has 4 kids, but she was like, you need to go see a specialist, and so did my mom, especially when I got the diagnosis of PCOS. So after that, I did go to a fertility clinic, and we had our first appointment in May of 2017. So the doctor looked at my blood levels, she reran the test, she was like, yeah, your AMH is really high. And she was like, okay, well, we can do ovulation induction medication, which was the same Femara, and we'll see where it goes. So if you go to a fertility clinic, those are where the reproductive endocrinologists are. So essentially, PCOS is a hormone imbalance that is not telling my body when it's time to release an egg. So they build up, which is why you have multiple follicles in your ovaries. And they either never get mature and you never ovulate, or your ovulation is not as strong as it should be with an egg that's quality enough to actually make a baby. So look at all the things you learn when you have to go through this, guys. Like, I would have never known all of these things. We went there, she said, okay, we're gonna try this steroid called dexamethasone, and we're gonna add it to your letrozole all for 5 days on cycle day 1. And you take the dexamethasone until you have a positive OPK, or ovulation predictor kit, which measures the amount of LH in your body, which means that your body is about to release an egg. So that's how ovulation predictor kits, or OPKs, work. Also going through infertility, if you're an infertility warrior, I'm trying to explain this so that everyone can watch this video and understand what we've been through. So that's why I go off on tangents and explain things over necessarily. About to come in because I heard his car coming up the drive. I tried that in May, and you come in, so there's so many appointments, you come in, cycle day 1, you get so many blood draws. That cycle didn't work in May. We tried it again in June. That cycle didn't work as well. And we did the same protocol. We tried that same, this is called a medicated cycle with timed intercourse. The same cycle we tried in July, and July, it didn't work as well. But that month we had entered in a trigger shot. So if your body is not naturally surging or, getting ready to release eggs every month, you can trigger a shot of HCG, which will make all the eggs in your body release within 36 hours. So we added that in July. Still didn't work. We kept doing triggers. We did trigger in August, didn't work. So by September, the end of August, I was kind of frustrated, like, this should have been working by now. Why isn't it working for us? So then we started introducing IUIs. And then in September, he's gonna open the door.
Chick-fil-A.
Hi. Thank you.
There's a lot of bags in here.
Yeah, I'm still filming. Oh. I use my big camera. My other camera died. End of August, we were kind of like, you know what, I'm kind of fed up with this. And actually, let's stick back to August. So August is when things just kept not working, and I was having a really, really hard time, like in general. I had a really hard time with anxiety. I think I was getting depressed at this point because it's such an emotional toll on you, and it's so like, you know, you can't be spontaneous with sex. There's sometimes when you can't, you know, have sex because you have a procedure in the morning or whatever. It was just a lot on our relationship and just a lot on me mentally. So August is when I kind of had the mental break. Like, this is hard, you know, I need to talk about this. I can't do this like by myself anymore. So I started seeing a therapist who specialized in infertility patients, and she's amazing. And she helped me out a lot, you know, throughout the end of last year. But at the end of August, we decided, like, we had to sit down with our endocrinologist, like, hey, why are we still doing all this if this is not working? What do we do? So she suggested adding an IUI. So in that September cycle, we added our first IUI, which was also unsuccessful. October, and we're thinking in our head, basically this clinic that I'm going to is part of a national clinic, or I was going to, and they are very business-like. Like, I think they treat you like numbers there, and I just wasn't happy generally. And if you're familiar with infertility clinics, I know this kind of works the same, like if you're pregnant and you see all the doctors in the practice. So, you know, everything in infertility is based around these 3 days in the month when you could actually get pregnant. So it might not be your doctor working then. So you see rotating doctors to check your ultrasound and do whatever. And some doctors were good and some were really bad. Actually, the only people that I enjoyed were like the nurse practitioner, some of the nurses, and my doctor when I saw her. Like, we saw her maybe 3 times total because she just I never lined up that my cycle was when she was working. So first doctor who did the IUI, he's just very like methodical, he's very scientific, and it was just kind of a clinical experience. So my second IUI in October, which is the last time we saw this clinic, I waited, I had an appointment, you know, my husband dropped off his little sample, I had an appointment at like 11 or something. I waited in that waiting room for 3 hours for them to be ready to do our IUI. I guess they just had a lot of IUIs, that was their excuse that day. 3 hours. So I was getting pissed off. I was like talking to the receptionist, like, what the hell? Like, what is going on here? And we finally get called back after 3 hours. The guy barely talks to me. At this point, we were still doing the doctor. At this point, we were still doing the trigger shot. And for some reason, during this month, the trigger shot really irritated my arm. Like, my whole upper arm was completely red and inflamed from the trigger shot that month. So I asked him to take a look at it. It was red, it was really hot, and he was just like, oh, take some Benadryl. Like, he was totally unconcerned about it. He didn't really speak to my husband, who was also there, you know, and he just kind of was like, well, let's get this started. Terrible bedside manner, the worst experience I've ever had in that instance. Up till then, you know, this whole thing is the worst experience I've ever had, but that was really the worst moment. So he comes in, the nurses will, like, they're very unapologetic. He never apologized about the 3 hour wait, and he just, you know, verified that the sperm was Doug's and that this was me. Like, I'm the right person who should get this, because they have to do that because you never know what could happen. And he just did the IUI, and he just went about his business, never said, he was like, well, hope this works, and he just walked out the door. Like, I remember sitting on that table, like, crying. Like, this isn't the way babies are supposed to be made. Like, can people have some compassion? It was just a terrible day. And to top that all off, and I'll go over these in another video, like things that people struggling through infertility don't want to do. One of my good friend's baby showers was that same day we had that shitty experience at our endocrinologist's office. So, like, I was just crying in the car. I was trying to pull it together because we had somewhere to be. And my husband was like, we're not going back there. I really didn't like that experience. We're done with them. So October was the last one, and it's kind of hard taking a break, you know, especially if you know, like, hey, I have a medical condition that will make it hard for me to get pregnant naturally, but you're stopping treatment. Like, that was very hard for me to stomach, but we took a break from October until now, which we are switching clinics, which I'm really excited about because our appointment is tomorrow, and I just kind of wanted to document our story up until then, up until this point. So we're like, we're never seeing these people again, they're terrible. So we're going to another place that comes highly recommended from a few of my friends who have used them. And I'm really excited about the doctor we're gonna go see. We'll meet her tomorrow, and I hope I remain excited, and I'll film an update video if there's anything new. But I will share like one little bright spot in the lining, because once I stopped going to my clinic, I started taking Ovasitol supplements, or this one in particular from Theralogic called Ovasitol. So the first period, I really wasn't taking it after our second IUI failed. And I had about a 38-day cycle. And I think the threshold that most doctors like to see is anything below 35 is a normal cycle, and anything longer than 35 days, you probably never ovulated. So I had that one anovulatory cycle. I started taking the Ovasitol twice a day, daily, and my next cycle was 26 days, which I'm super excited about. And it kind of caught me off guard. Like, I randomly took an OPK, an ovulation predictor kit, last cycle, and it was my surge date. And I was like, oh, I'm ovulating tomorrow, or I'm in the process of ovulating right now, which is really awesome because I've never seen that unless it's been on a medicated cycle. So that was last month, which is so exciting. That was very encouraging. And this month, you know, we'll see. I'm in the 2-week wait right now, which is, we'll see how that goes. It's so hard to be optimistic. You just always take things like with pessimism after going through this, like, you know. Since I've been taking that supplement, like, my face is cleared up, and inositol, basically, it helps out your insulin resistance, which a lot of people with PCOS tend to be, and the incorrect levels of insulin in your body are what mess up your hormones and why you're not ovulating. So inositol, Ovasitol is the brand that I take, corrects that, and I've seen my face clear up amazingly, and it's just been really good. So we'll see what this doctor tomorrow says. I have a whole list of questions now that I'm armed and I'm ready to be my own advocate. So we'll see where to go from here. And that's our infertility story, up to date. Yeah, we're still going through it. So if you're going through it too, leave a comment, let me know your story, or message me. A lot of people have been doing that, and that's really helpful. And I think it's just really helpful to normalize these types of conversations, because it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that a lot of women suffer from. 1 in 8 couples, I think, under 35 end up suffering from infertility, and if you're over 35, it's 1 in 4. So you definitely know somebody who's been struggling, and I just would like everybody to be kind, because it's a hard thing to go through. So thank you for watching this video if you've made it this far. Make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel to stay updated on our journey and everything else random that I decide to post on my YouTube channel. See you later. Bye.